Well, there is just 6 rounds to go in the AFL season, so we're going to do a ladder predictor. We're going to predict every game for the rest of the year. Sit back, enjoy. Don't forget to comment down below. This is the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel. Welcome on into the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel. Got another video coming your way today, and we're going to do a ladder prediction. We're going to predict every single game for the rest of the 2025 season. See what the end ladder will end up looking like according to these results. There's 9 teams left. Technically, there's more, but realistically, only 9 teams left in the race. So let's see if we can narrow that down to 8 teams for the actual final series. Little side note, this is recorded at the end of round 18, so round 19 is coming up this weekend. We're going to go through every game for the rest of the season. Make sure you jump down in the comments. Let me know where I went wrong. Let me know where I went right. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you enjoy, and let's jump into the games of football. Starting with this weekend, it's round 19. The games will not be in the right order that they're actually played on the weekend, but that doesn't matter. They are in the right weekends at least. This weekend, we're going Sydney to beat North Melbourne, Brisbane to beat the Bulldogs, Melbourne to beat Carlton, Collingwood to beat Fremantle, the Giants over the Bombers, Geelong to be too good for St Kilda, Hawthorn to beat Port Adelaide, Adelaide to beat Gold Coast, and wrapping up the weekend, West Coast beating Richmond over in the West. That will give us a ladder after round 19. Until the final round, we'll only focus on the top 9 teams because the rest are pretty much irrelevant. So Collingwood staying on top, 1.5 games clear of the Lions, who are half a game ahead of Adelaide. And then it's 1 game back to Geelong, Hawthorn, and GWS. Another game back is Gold Coast, Fremantle, 7th and 8th, and the Doggies in 9th spot after back-to-back losses. And a little bit of work to do to make finals. That will make it a very interesting run home. Only the bottom 3 teams there, 7, 8, and 9, losing in round 19, according to our predictions. Moving into round 20, we got Geelong to be too good for North Melbourne. It is at Marvel, but I still think they should beat them. Gold Coast against Brisbane in the Q Clash. That'll be a cracking game. This is basically rivalry round if we look at it. GWS, too good for Sydney. That game could go either way. Collingwood should beat Richmond, you'd imagine. St Kilda to be too good for Melbourne. I think that one's at Marvel. Bulldogs to beat the Bombers. Hawthorn to beat Carlton. Adelaide to be too good for Port Adelaide. And Fremantle to be too good for West Coast. Ladder after round 20 would look like this. Collingwood, 2 games clear of Adelaide in 2nd spot. Then half a game to Brisbane. Another half a game back are Geelong, Hawthorn, and GWS, all tightening up through that middle spot. And then a game clear of Gold Coast, Fremantle, and then still a game back are the Bulldogs. But the only team in the top 9 that weekend losing, according to these results, would be Brisbane against Gold Coast. Moving into round 21, Gold Coast, speaking of them, get Richmond, and they should beat them. St Kilda to beat North Melbourne. Bulldogs against GWS. That is a massive game in the context of the season. Sydney to beat Essendon. Collingwood against Brisbane at the MCG, getting the win. Geelong against Port Adelaide, getting the win. Melbourne beating West Coast. Adelaide Hawthorn, another big game. Adelaide getting the win over there. And Fremantle wrapping up the weekend with a 40-point win over Carlton. After round 21, this would be the ladder. Collingwood sitting on top, 2 wins ahead of Adelaide. Geelong sitting 1 win back. Then Brisbane, after back-to-back losses, dropping to 4th, half a game behind Geelong. Half a game behind them is Gold Coast, Hawthorn, GWS, and Fremantle. So it's really tightening up. Bulldogs still sitting 1 game behind the Dockers after round 21. It's getting really tight there, isn't it? That's crazy. If this is, I mean, not every result's going to go this way, let's be honest. But if it was similar to this, to think that there's already 8 teams on 13 wins and there's still 2 rounds to go, that would be unbelievable. It's quite possible. It's quite possible. But, yeah, we'll move into round 22. GWS, North Melbourne, Giants should win that one. St Kilda should beat the Tigers. I think it is at the MCG, but you'd still think the Saints would be too good. Brisbane to beat Sydney. Gold Coast beating Carlton. Geelong to beat Essendon. Hawthorn, I think, beat Collingwood in this one because Collingwood coming off a 5-day break. You'd think they'll be vulnerable. Bulldogs to beat Melbourne. Port Adelaide to beat Fremantle. And Adelaide to beat West Coast. This is going basically favourites. I mean, some of these teams are going to get upset at some point, you'd think. But that would leave the ladder looking very, very, very close all the way through the top 9. Collingwood out on top, only a game clear of Adelaide now, and basically the same percentage. Geelong a game back, then half a game to Brisbane still, who sit 4th. Then Gold Coast, Hawthorn and GWS all half a game behind Brisbane. And then Fremantle drop out of the 8 here after that loss, which puts the Bulldogs into the 8 on percentage with 2 games left. That would really make that a spicy little battle for that final spot. I mean, it's probably going to be a spicy battle all the way through to the final round, in all honesty. Moving into round 23, this is the second last round of the season. North Melbourne to beat Richmond. GWS, I've got beating Gold Coast up on the Gold Coast. That will be a tight game and a very important win for whichever team gets that one. Bulldogs should beat West Coast quite comfortably. Sydney, I've got beating Geelong at the moment. Geelong sometimes don't travel the best. They're a weird sort of team. I think they're definitely better than Sydney, but whether they win this one or not, I guess we'll see. Carlton beating Port Adelaide. I've got St Kilda beating Essendon. Hawthorn to beat Melbourne. Adelaide hosting Collingwood. I've gone Adelaide, which might just win them the minor premiership. We'll see. And Fremantle to take down the Brisbane Lions and keep their season chugging along with a chance. The ladder, after round 23, has a new team on top. Unbelievably, Adelaide are there. Collingwood have faltered a little bit in our predictions here with a couple of losses, and Adelaide just being squeaky clean jumped to the top. Collingwood second, just on percentage. Geelong sitting third, 2 games behind them, as are Hawthorn and GWS. All of a sudden, that top 4 is looking very spicy because Brisbane could potentially lose 3 out of 4 games, which would be unreal, dropping down to 6th. Half a game behind them are the 3 chasing teams, Western Bulldogs, Gold Coast and Fremantle, still sitting in 9th. Don't forget, Gold Coast have 2 games in round 24. So they still have 2 games left. Everyone else only has 1. This could be a very, very interesting season, and we move into the final round of the year. And this is how it looks. Adelaide should win against North Melbourne. It is in Melbourne. It's not going to be easy, but we're going Adelaide in that one, sorry. Geelong should be way too good for Richmond. Giants should be too good for St Kilda. Bulldogs to beat Fremantle in a game that basically could spell who makes finals and who doesn't. It's in Melbourne, so we're going Bulldogs. And if the ladder shows out how we're predicting, that game will determine who gets that final spot in the finals. The loser basically is gone. We're going Bulldogs. Brisbane to beat Hawthorn. Another interesting game that could have massive ramifications on finals and top 4. Collingwood should beat Melbourne. Carlton to beat the Bombers. Port Adelaide beating Gold Coast, which that could go either way, depending on what Port Adelaide shows up. It will be Ken Hinkley's last game as coach, so maybe the power will show up for him. We'll have to wait and see. Sydney will beat West Coast. And the final game, Gold Coast beating Essendon, surely. That would leave us the ladder. We're going to go through all 18 spots for the ladder now. We'll start at the bottom. West Coast, they'll be wooden spooners, you'd have to think. 2 wins for the season. Richmond, second bottom, 4 wins. Not a bad result. North Melbourne, 16th with 5.5 wins. Then it's 15th is the Bombers, 6 wins. Then Melbourne, Carlton, but in 13th and 14th on 8 wins. St Kilda getting up to 12 with 9 wins. A good little run there. 4 out of their last 5, dropping the last one. So they don't have the toughest run home, the Saints. Port Adelaide finishing 11th on the ladder with 10 wins. 2 wins ahead of them. Sydney finishing reasonably strong, but just their start to the season costing them. They finish on 12. Crazily, Fremantle missing the finals again. If they do this 2 years in a row, looking like a finals team and then just missing out, that would be devastating for them. 14 wins may not get you finals. That is unreal. I mean, this isn't how the season's going to pan out, like, obviously, but maybe it will be. 14 wins would be ridiculous not to make the finals. And then 8th spot, Hawthorn with 15 wins, just sneaking in. Gold Coast 7th on the ladder, also 15 wins. Bulldogs also on 15, get 6th. Brisbane 15.5, get 5th place, which gives them a home final. And more importantly, is exactly where they finished the season last year. GWS with a solid finish to their season, finished top 4. Geelong also pretty reasonable finish to their year, 16 wins. They finished 3rd. Adelaide drop to 2nd due to percentage, the tightest little percentage gap between Collingwood and Adelaide there. 18 wins, 2nd on the ladder. Collingwood also finishing on 18 wins on top of the ladder at the end of the season. We're going to have a look at finals, though, because that is what everyone's about. And we've predicted all of those games as well. And this is how it would be. Qualifying Final 1, Collingwood GWS. That'd be a cracking game. A replay of the prelim final from 2 years ago between those two teams. Collingwood to win that one. The other qualifying final down the bottom is Adelaide v Geelong. Another cracking game. Geelong beat Adelaide over at Adelaide Oval earlier this year, but we're going Adelaide this time. In the elimination finals, Brisbane Hawthorn. That would be a cracker up at the Gabba. I'd have to go Brisbane just at the Gabba. And the other one, Bulldogs versus Gold Coast in their first ever final. This would be down in Melbourne at the MCG, no doubt. And you'd have to back the Doggies just because they're at home, I think. If the grounds were reversed, you'd probably go Gold Coast. It's that simple. Moving into semi-final weekend, it would be GWS v Brisbane, the Giants. Well, that's a replay of last year's semi-final, which is crazy enough. Everyone remembers that one, where GWS were 40 points up and Brisbane stormed home and got the win. That would be a cracking rematch as well. So Giants, I'm going this time to reverse the fate of last year. And Geelong Bulldogs would be a cracking semi-final as well. Geelong, too good at the MCG. For third week, prelim final week, would have Collingwood Geelong playing off in a prelim final. What a massive occasion that would be. They've played in some massive finals over the last 15 years of football, these two teams, and that would be an absolute cracking game, I think. And the other prelim final would be Adelaide hosting GWS Giants. That would also be an interesting game. I would go with the Crows based on the fact that it will be in Adelaide. But that would be an enjoyable game to watch as well. Hopefully a little bit more enjoyable than last time the two teams met at Adelaide Oval, which was a low-scoring wet weather game. That would leave us with Geelong Adelaide in the grand final. At the MCG, you'd have to tip Geelong, but that could be a cracking game. It would be a free-flowing grand final. Adelaide, hopefully, would put up a good fight, but I think Geelong would be too strong. And maybe it's a little bit of bias here. I'm not a Geelong fan, just for noting. But they were my pre-season prediction for the premiership. Things haven't changed. So that is a wrap on our little look at how the rest of the season may play out. It won't be the exact results, let's be honest. But it's fun to look at. It's a little look at what we can potentially see come September this year. That's every game. We'll do this again in a couple of weeks. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We do 2 podcasts every single week here. We do plenty of other videos as well, so go check them all out. We did mid-season reviews for every team. We do pre-season reviews, previews. We do everything. AFLW season's coming. We'll have plenty of content there. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that noti bell so you don't miss any videos. We'll be back soon with another video. Hope you enjoyed. I'm Jay. This is All Aussie Rules. I'll catch you on the next one.